Come on. Okay, we are live on the air. Okay. Hi guys. Okay. All right. It's 8:29. Anybody in the chat room? You got a. If you have a question for Nick, the creator of Cashly, give us a call 808-468-7924. He's taking your calls tonight. If you have a question for him.
I want to hear a question from an Android user
Right.
call in. There's only one question to ask. If it doesn't get asked by the end of the night, I will ask it.
We already know the answer.
Right.
I think you've asked that question in a previous show.
Yes, I have. I'll keep asking it though.
Didn't you set up a GoFundMe? You set up a GoFundMe, didn't you?
Yeah, it failed miserably. It earned like $175.
That's actually a lot. I'm shocked you earned that. I'm impressed. You know what? I have a Cashly mug and I'm not even drinking it right. I'm not even using it right now. How terrible am I? I'm horrible. I actually have a Cashly mug.
Were you the one that ordered a Cashly mug?
That was me, dude. Yes.
I saw that. I think you were the only one.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome.
And he's using a cup that says meh today.
Yeah. That's how he feels about this show.
That's how I feel about that mess behind him.
Right, that nice mess I got. All right, let's start.
I have the same mess.
Yes, you do. That's what new houses do. All right, here we go. I'm going to start this show. Let me hit record on this so it actually records. There we go. All right, everybody ready? Chad, you ready?
I'm ready.
Jesse, good. Nick, you good?
Yep.
Let's go.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
You want to know how to find it. Seek it out when they hide it. You know it's in the bag when it's an easy grab. But come on, take a chance now. Go, geocache. If you need help, we're right there in a flash. If you got a question, just call in and ask. Uncover the stash on the Geocaching Podcast. The Geocaching Podcast.
Welcome, everyone. It is once again Wednesday. It is 8:30, which means that it is once again time for the Geocaching Podcast. I'm Scott Burks. We have the beautiful Shorty Knits manning the phones. And please welcome to my virtual left, my co-host, Jazz427.
Howdy, y'all. Get your iPhones and iPads ready. And
That's
if you're
right.
if you're an Android user, sit back, relax, and get ready to be jealous.
To be jelly, because tonight's episode is 552, recorded live on February 27th, 2019, and it is Cashly 5.0, the full or semi-full review with its owner, Nic Hubbard. Phone lines are open, so give us a call, 808-468-7924. That is 808-GOT-SWAG. Yeah, guys, you got a question for Nick. He is here. He is in the virtual studio right now, waiting for your call. So if you want to bug him about Android, find out something you have a question for Nick, you can actually you have him here to answer your question. So if you want, give him a call. 808-468-7924. But before we get to Nick, we got to talk about Patreon. Guys, it costs a lot of money to make this podcast work. We really could use your help. We love our patrons so much. We love them so much. We actually gave our patrons 2 weeks ago, we got tremendous response on the last 2 episodes of the evolution of geocaching. And what our non-patron listeners don't know is that we got an extra 10 minutes with Brian Roth. After we went off the air, he kept talking, we kept asking him questions, and I just kept recording. So I put that on the patrons, got that on the patron side, all that good stuff. There's other audio, other video, all the stuff on the good side of the patron side. So it's patreon.com/the geocaching podcast, patreon.com/the geocaching podcast.
And tonight's show is brought to you by none other than Cashly.
Hey.
Cashly is an advanced geocaching app for iOS. It features powerful online and offline features, including filtered searches, offline maps, offline saving of caches. Cashly has hundreds of advanced features that will make your geocaching experience just that much better. Get more information at cashly.com. That's CACHLY.com.
Way to go. We should have had Nick do that. I didn't even think of that.
You should have warned me.
The show is also sponsored by Logwork. Logwork are the creators of the fantastic logbook made with genuine write-in-the-rain paper. The logbook's designed for the micro-containers of the present and future, geared towards the hider who would rather go caching than do cache maintenance. Find them at logwork.com. That's logwerk.com.
It's also brought to you by FTF Geocacher Magazine. FTF Geocacher is the magazine for geocachers written by geocachers with 6 issues a year. FTF offers practical advice, hints and tips, cacher bios and milestones, geocaching events, trail tales, and all things geo-related. Find them at ftfgeocacher.com. That's ftfgeocacher.com.
Thank you, Chad. Guys, I know we were supposed to have a cacher coffee tonight. That's what I said last episode. But then Nick decided to release Cachly 5.0 on last Sunday. So I said, hey, if he's going to do that, I'm going to have, I told Nick when he became a sponsor, which we appreciate, Nick, thank you very much, that when 5.0, I wanted him on the show. And he said, absolutely, let's do it. So I contacted him and said, hey, 5.0 is out. You want to come on the show next Wednesday? He said, yep, let's do it. I said, all right, come on out. So we got Nick on the show tonight. Nick, always a pleasure to have you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
And we love your app so much here at the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've been a supporter of your app way before you were a sponsor of my show. I've always loved.
I do remember that.
And so 5.0 is out. Actually today during work, don't tell anyone. During my work today, I actually became a premium member with the maps with the full the high-end tip, by the way, too. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh, very nice. I appreciate that.
I like the way he did that. Nice touch on that, by the way. Nice touch.
It helps with the server fees.
and for the record, anybody who's listening to me who uses Cachly, if you upgrade to the maps and you do not go the full tip jar, come on, man, come on. He gives you this wonderful product with virtually nothing, So Nick is great. 5.0. The maps are amazing. I love the maps. I was tinkering today while at work. And because honestly, Nick, I haven't had a chance. So this is all you, because I haven't had much chance to play around with Cachly 5.0 because you didn't give us to us beta developers. You really didn't give it to us. And so I've been moving for the past week. So I was messing around with it a little bit. I messed around with it when it came out a little bit. And then I messed around with it a little bit today, and I downloaded the better maps and all that. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about, you want to start with the maps? What do you want to start with?
Let's start with maps. Yeah.
All right, tell me about the maps. You talk to me about it.
Yeah, so we used to have old maps, and they were slow. The styles were bad. They were tile-based, so even though they were vector files you were downloading, they would render out images basically for every single little tile. And on older devices, it would become really slow, and there was various problems that could not be solved. And so I found a new way to do new maps, and I started this about 8 months or 10 months ago. And so it's just been a continual work since then, building the servers, building the infrastructure, building the styles, all that kind of stuff. And finally, after so much work, it's finally done and people are happy with it. So yeah, it's based on OpenStreetMap data. The maps are updated very often, especially like US, UK, Germany. Those ones are updated every 2 weeks. And then, including Australia. And then the rest of the world is whenever the server can get through them and it'll start over. So maybe monthly or every 2 months, something like that. So just depends on how fast it's crunching that OpenStreetMap data. So, and it has contours and hill shades and beautiful trails. I worked really hard on the styles to make it really bring out some of those features like the trails and roads and things like that. And my beta testers really, really helped with this. There were so many times when we found issues and I had to regenerate maps and then regenerate the styles, and it was just a long, long process. So I think we came to a really good place now, and I'm still improving them. Like just yesterday, somebody from the UK suggested that main roadways like freeways in the UK are always blue. And I had them as kind of like a dark yellow. So that's a fix I made, and will be out in 5.0.2 probably this week. So just little things like that people suggest that, I don't know maps for the entire world. So little suggestions from especially other countries are really, really helpful. So
Good to know.
yeah,
Awesome.
That's the quick and
so tell me about this premium. When you become a premium member, you get more, not more maps. What do you get when you become a premium member?
Well, we called them premium maps because there was the old maps. I didn't want to call them old maps because that has kind of a bad connotation. I didn't want to take away the previous maps because I think people deserve to still have the product that they purchased even in 4.0. There was maps there that were free. So those are still available. Those are just called standard maps. And you can scroll down on the map screen and download those still. We're still updating those. But these are new. They're higher quality, like all the things I just described. So they come at a cost. And that small fee for those maps goes to, especially server fees. They're hosted on Amazon servers, so that's not cheap sometimes to host really, really fast downloading files. So, and just to support continued development. So that's really kind of the goal here, is to have a premium product in Cachly, and that's what people can buy.
And this in-app purchase that you have for the premium maps, I downloaded Illinois. Obviously I became a premium member.
Yep.
And then I downloaded Illinois. It's where I'm from, obviously. But I could download any state, right? And I don't pay again. It's $2.99 for all the maps. Is that what it is? Right?
Yep. For all the maps in the entire world, you can download. You can put them on another device if you want to. Just have the same App Store account on that other device, like your iPad, and then you go to the maps and you use the restore purchases option. The same exact thing as other in-app purchases across the App Store. There's always a restore purchases option. So yeah, it's pay once and then you kind of have them for life. So
well, the maps look fantastic. Yeah. They do. They really look fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking online, and I'm we have a link in our show notes here that shows the maps, and I'm totally jealous. I mean, I for offline maps with CGO, I use the OSM maps, and it's just flat. You don't see any of that contouring or hill shading or any of this beautiful detail that you're getting here.
We don't have hill shading here either, but that's because we're in Illinois.
And I know Jesse appreciates
one thing.
the trails. Jesse loves the trails. That's what she always looks at.
Good.
Definitely.
Well, the hills out my
mention was.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, the hills out my back door. I'll go ahead. The hills out my back door shoot up a good 300 feet within about maybe a tenth of a mile. So that hill shading would be nice definitely around my area, being in the foothills of the Sierras.
Oh yeah,
yeah, for sure.
And so what are we gonna do about, like, what are you gonna keep updating these? What's the plan with that? Sorry, guys.
Generated, like I was mentioning, from OpenStreetMap data. So if people are continuing to update OpenStreetMaps, you will always get all the new features that people have added to the maps. I myself have been updating my local trails because I hike on those trails and geocache on those trails, and I realized there was small things missing that hadn't been added. So yeah, they'll continue to be updated. The styles will be updated continually. And new technologies that come around, like the 3D maps are on there. You can see 3D buildings and cities. So that kind of thing. When new things like that are available, I'll make sure to add those.
Mm-hmm. And I see you got Google Maps, you got Google Street View, you've got the 3D maps. Yep, correct. The flyovers, right? The flyover. I've messed around with them.
Yeah, the Apple flyover maps are back.
Right. But you also got
they were gone for a long time.
Yes, log upvoting. You've got that coming on here. How did you pull that? I thought that was the Groundspeak wasn't going to allow other people to do that. So well done on that. I'm surprised they allowed that.
That was, yeah. So I was meeting with HQ this last summer, and they said, "Hey, we got an idea that maybe we could partner on." And so that was the log upvote idea, and I thought it was a pretty cool idea. I didn't even know about it because I wasn't in Canada or Norway. So yeah, once I implemented it, they tested it and they liked how it was working in Cachly, and then I was excited to get it out to users. So hopefully, now that people can use it in Cachly and they can use it worldwide, it's not limited to Canada and Norway. They can use it everywhere. So don't think that it's just limited to those countries. Hopefully it'll be, start going into other products, or they'll release it online everywhere too, because I think it's a pretty cool feature, especially with where you can sort them by one of the log types. So if, there was tons and tons of helpful marked ones, and you could sort by that, and then you could see those all at the top, and it might help you find your cache.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
but those are only on Cachly right now, right? So like if I log into geocaching.com, I won't be able to see that.
Correct. Those are only on Cachly. Unless you were in Canada and Norway, then you would also be able to participate on the website. Yeah.
But then will they carry over eventually if geocaching.com rolls that out worldwide?
Yeah, all those votes would just appear, if they wanted to implement that, they're on a server somewhere and they would just kind of appear on all the caches. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Again, everybody, you have a question for Nic? Give us a call, 808-468-7924, 808-GOT-SWAG. Talk to Nic himself. I know one of the things that Jesse was so excited about was the color coding of caches. That was genius.
Yes.
Jesse was like, "Oh, thank you."
I said that needed to be done years ago, and when I saw that was one of the first announcements that was made about the new 5.0, and I was so excited. You have no idea.
Yeah,
so
she was swooning, man, swooning.
Best feature
Good.
ever.
What kind of things what do you use it for?
Jesse, what do you use it
for? I have offline lists that are must-dos, or I may have some oldies, or I have all of my categories of the different caches that I want to find in certain areas, and so being able to color code those by different color is genius. So I know I definitely need to find all of the red ones, or whatever it might be. Awesome.
Got it. Yeah. Very cool.
And lonely caches. Let's talk about lonely caches here. What made you decide to add that into it? Was that a requested feature?
Where that came from? There's so many things that come from just suggestions on Facebook or a beta tester or a random person in an email. I think maybe Jesse from Geocache Talk talking about lonely caches one time. And I hadn't really thought about lonely caches. I wasn't somebody who really went and found those kind of things, but it only took a short amount of time to do the code for that. So I thought it was a pretty cool feature. And then, there was quite a few more hours of refining and testing and stuff like that, but it was actually a fairly easy thing to check. And then it's customizable. I think it's set to 1 year right now, but you can change, how far out you want the lonely cache to be. So yeah, I think it's kind of a cool feature. I was amazed by how many lonely caches there were just around me.
Looking at
I guess I need to go find those.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, to one of the great things about Nic, to give you some kudos, is that Nic also is the guy who, this is a one-man show, guys. Anybody new to Cache, whereas Nic is. You send an email out, Nic will answer. Nic will answer pretty quick. My favorite story was with Nic is that it was Thanksgiving Day, and I was out casting and I found something. I had a thing going on with Cassie, so I shot Nic an email and said, "Okay, I'll get it tomorrow." And not even thinking about it. Like an hour later, Nic emails me back. Remember, Nic? And I was like, "Nic, go have Thanksgiving, dude. You don't have to answer me now." I didn't mean for you to answer. It was
So between bites of turkey here.
Yeah. I was typing and then eating.
That's just a fan, but that's customer service. I mean, and Nic usually, even still, you send him an email, he's going to respond in a couple of hours. I mean, the end of the day. I've never gotten emails. Yeah, I've never got. I mean, has your emails jumped tremendously since the app took off?
Yes, and especially since Sunday. I have not been as quick to respond to people as as I usually am. I actually have a bunch in my inbox still that I need to respond to. So, yeah, it starts to become difficult when there's releases like that.
One other thing, getting back to Jesse really quick about the highlighting colors, is that like now with iCloud Sync, you can actually sort and filter the highlighted colors, and it can go across the board. Correct? You can use it on different platforms. Is that correct? With iCloud Sync?
Yes. Well, if you have two phones or a phone and an iPad, it'll sync across to both of them. So both ways. So if you're using one and you pop onto your other one, all those highlights will be over there already. And then if you have them in offline lists, you can do offline list filtering with those highlight colors. So if you want to just show all your orange highlights and your purple ones, something like that, you can do some pretty powerful filtering offline.
One of the questions I'm seeing in the chat room was, what was the most requested feature from version 4 users had that was added to version 5?
Maybe one that I don't talk about as much, and that's on the list here. It's when you're navigating to a cache to show all the caches around it, and that's one that now I never thought about using before, but now I think it's kind of helpful. So when you're navigating to a cache, you see other ones that are within a 5-mile radius. So if you're trekking there, you might grab another one on the way. So that was kind of the idea. People really wanted that. And so that's in 5.0.
I would never even think of that, because even the old geocaching app didn't do that. It just, you focused it focused on that one cache, and that was it.
Yeah.
You don't even know how many caches you were passing because you were focusing on one cache.
Yeah, so, there was, I think, 1 or 2 people on Facebook after I released it that hate that feature. But the majority think it's really, really, really nice.
Your ADD is like, oh, squirrel. Yeah.
So I did think of another question here that's not quite Android related. How new of a device, iPhone or iPad, do you need to have in order for Cachly to work properly? I mean,
So
can I go back to
requirement?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the minimum requirement is iOS 10, and that will put you back on an iPhone 5.
5, yeah, that's fine.
So, which I have for testing. I have many, many testing devices, and I have tested an iPhone 5. It's not the fastest because, newer technologies, especially like the new offline maps, use like OpenGL rendering, which are not as fast on old processors. But you can definitely still use it. It's definitely workable. I don't know who probably still has an iPhone 5 around anymore. A lot of users are on iPhone 6s, 7s, 8s, stuff like that. And then you have the users that are on the brand new ones. So,
right. Well, I was thinking
an iPad, I'm not sure what ones you can go back to on iPad.
I was thinking about actually possibly getting a old used one and hotspotting my phone. So I wouldn't be using it as my primary phone, but potentially using it for Cachly via hotspotting my phone for data.
5.0. There you go.
Yeah,
you can get
a good idea.
You can get an iPhone 5 for like $100 less, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, those things are like garbage now. They're so old. They give those away now. I think they literally give them away now. One thing I want to mention, you mentioned Facebook, is the Facebook group, the Cachly user group on Facebook. I'm a member of that.
Yeah.
If anybody who's not a member of that, if you didn't know, there's a great group on Facebook, the Cachly user group, which Nick is a part of, and it's people post their questions or their comments. Do you get a lot of stuff there, Nick, that you see for upcoming releases?
Yeah, there's a lot of support questions. There's a lot of suggestions. But the great thing is that so many other people answer questions also. It's not just me trying to, rummage through all the responses and stuff like that and respond to everything. So it's kind of a community effort, which is great because it takes some burden off of me to respond to things. I try to go through there and look at everything, but sometimes, I miss stuff or somebody's already answered something, which is great. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay. Coordinate detection allows tapping for quick actions. What does that mean? I'm saying a list. What I'm looking at a list of new features. Of the app.
So a bunch of people from the old app Geosphere. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Sure.
Yeah. So when you have coordinates in like a personal note or in a log, or in like the text of a waypoint, something like that, they were tappable. in that old app, and people have bugged me for a long time. Add that. That'd be really, really nice. So finally in 5.0, if you pretty much everywhere across the interface, if there's a coordinate, it will be highlighted in green and underlined, and you can press on it and it will give you a couple options. And depending on the context, like if you're in a personal cache note, you have the option of creating a corrected coordinate or creating a waypoint. If you're in logs, you kind of have the same options. So it's kind of context based, and there's always, some options based on that coordinate you just tapped.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the really nice features I'm seeing here is the event cache is happening in 24 hours. Show a special icon. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is the icon?
Yeah. It's a calendar icon. So it looks like a little calendar.
Oh,
so it's also in list view and details view. There's an icon there you'll be able to notice. But it's just a quick, nice reminder if you're looking at nearby caches of events and you see, there's one tomorrow. I didn't even realize that. So it's kind of a quick and easy way to do it. And people had requested to make it customizable for how far or how early in the future or previously you wanted to show it. So maybe I'll add that in a future version where you can do it 48 hours or something like that. So
and whose idea was it to put Santa hats on the smileys on Christmas Day?
That was mine.
Genius.
That was mine.
Genius.
Yeah, I think I'm going to come up with something new for next year.
Oh
so
no!
Just wait and see.
Because we go caching on Geocaching Day. We go caching every day, all day on Christmas Day, and it's a nice little thing. You get this. We get the smileys with the Santa hats. It's a nice touch. I love it.
Don't worry, it'll be even better.
Have you thought about other holidays, like I don't know,
Hearts on Valentine's Day,
St. Patrick's Day, or something like that?
Yeah, we'll see.
But I always love that. That's been going for a couple of years. It always makes me laugh when we forget about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, the Santa hats on the smileys. Yeah, it's just little touches like that makes it such a great app. No, it really does. Navigating to cache. Okay, we talked about that one. Sorry. Pending log can be viewed from cache details. A pending log.
Yeah. So pending logs are just basically saved on the local device. It's not a draft. It's not a submitted log. It's just one that's on your local device in the database. And some users, when they're going back through caches, exploring around, they would tap on one again that they had already logged, and then they could see right from that details screen that there's a pending log, and they can tap on it, and it would pull it back up, and then they could edit it quickly. So it's just another way of accessing a log that they've already created. There was a lot of users that had kind of specific use cases, and they explained it, and a lot of other people thought that'd be a great idea as well. So it kind of stemmed from that. So if you create one, you'll see that the log button on the details screen changes from cache to view pending log. So it kind of changes the context. Yeah.
Okay. Log dots shown in list and map callout views.
Yeah. So if you have seen the log dots when you view a cache and you go to the details screen, on the logs line, there's some dots there. So it shows you kind of a quick view of, if it's a DNF recently or a bunch of fines. So if you are using the option to load full caches, you can now see those on the call out when you tap a cache or in list view. So you can quickly just kind of scroll through your caches, and if there's 5 of them that have DNFs at the start, maybe you want to visit those, maybe you don't. So it's just another way to plan and not have to navigate and look into a cache and then go back out. It's just kind of a time saving tool.
I love it. This one makes me happy because this one I always used to complain to Jesse about. Easier to add corrected coordinates. I love that. I'd always have to back up. Oh, it drove me crazy. I always be like, damn, Nick, damn it.
Yeah.
So thank you. What do I have to do now? What do I have to do now? Can I do it right from the map where I wanted to? I'd always say to Jesse, I should be able to do it from right here on the map, from right here.
Yeah, we could do that with the 3D touch with the hard press on your phone. We could add something like that.
Yeah. So what is it now? How do I do a corrected coordinates now?
So you just once you find a cache you want to go to, you tap on it, and then it's just there on the details screen. And previously you had to go add a waypoint and choose that it was a corrected coordinate.
I had to go out to come back in. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So it saves you a couple steps.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
I didn't even send you an email complaining about that either. I would just complain. is what I would do whenever I had.
That's all right. Other people did.
I'd be like, it's so. I was there. I'm like, this app, the UX is fantastic. Why is he doing this way? But come on. Yes. Search field to filter on logs. Search field to filter on search terms. You know what that means?
Yeah. So if you are viewing the logs of a cache and you're thinking, I'm going to search for the term ammo can, and it will pull up all the logs that are loaded there with that search term. So it quickly filters out all the ones that don't have that search term, and it will show all the ones that do. So it's just another way to quickly find some logs that might have some hints or some clues as to where the cache might be. So
Coordinates are off.
What'd you say?
Coordinates are off, or updated coordinates, or
I found it.
look here.
Jesse, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You mentioned marking on your phone.
I'm playing with Cashly.
You can do it now during the show.
I'm following along.
Personal log.
yeah, test out all the new features.
I am.
Personal logs show log time. Oh, you added a log time to it, really?
Yeah, so finally did that. So if you look on the logs tab, where you see all your personal logs, those will have actual time of log. And then if you are viewing a geocache that your log happens to appear in, then you will also see your log time there. The only limitation to that is if you perhaps are logging your cache on the website, that still doesn't save the time component. So only on, for whatever reason, they just haven't added that yet. It's only mobile apps that will save the time component of the log. So hopefully in the future, if you need to jump to the website and log it there, hopefully that will in the future save the time as well. But for now, it doesn't.
Sure.
So use Cashly for now and use the website for other things, maybe for logging.
So let's see. While we've got Nick here, what was the thing? What was the bug that you found? This is in Cashly 4. I'm curious if you fixed it in 5. Jesse, you'd always crash. Your Cashly would always crash doing something.
It had to do with the templates, the log templates that I can't remember specifically what it was, but there was something that if I tried to do it, it wouldn't allow me to save it for some reason. So I'll have to play around with that and see if that got fixed.
Then it would crash out when it did crash out.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
It worked fine for me, Nick, for the record.
Right.
It was only her and her phone, her
Interesting.
crazy phone. Yeah, so
I'll let you know if it happens.
That's the hard thing to figure out with bugs.
So the chat rooms with Jesse here, in that they're all they're not chatting very much because they're all playing with their devices, playing with the app.
Yeah, they're all playing with the app while whatever you're talking about, they're probably checking out right now. Custom map tile URLs.
Yes.
What is that?
So if you have one of those long URLs that has a XYZ in the URL, if you've ever seen those before, that's how basically I have presets for like OpenStreetMaps, a couple other options. Those are all basically map tile URLs that I've hard coded in there. But there's many services, especially in other countries. I know there are some German cachers that really wanted to use some of their local German mapping servers. And so now you can just take that URL and you can save it as your own custom item in there, and it will load those tiles on the map. So just if you have a map provider that has that same kind of format, then you can load them.
So just out of curiosity, before we keep moving with this, do like the developers from Groundspeak call you and say like, Nick, I'm having a problem here. You've already solved this in your app. How do I do this?
No, they are very nice people. They are very nice people. I actually don't know the developers that work on the app itself. I work with the API developers all the time. 2 guys in particular, Jason and John, and they're just awesome guys. And Annie, they are super helpful. They've never been anything but wonderful. And so just yesterday morning, there was a bug where if you were submitting a draft in Cashly 4.0, you didn't have to put a message in there at all. You could just like, save a draft real quick if you just kind of wanted to do a place mark. And using the new API, that was a bug where you had to enter log text for a draft. And so I sent an email off to them, and within maybe an hour that was fixed. And so there was a lot of happy people on Facebook that were complaining about that before. So they're always very, very responsive.
Mhm.
So no complaints.
One question I have for you is, and this is an honest question for you. Do you still enjoy it? Do you still, I mean, I know 5.0 just came out, and I'm sure you're relieved about that. But, one of the hardest parts of being a developer is burnout. And you see a lot of great apps that have been like Geosphere and stuff like that. Just the owners burn out, and so they literally stop updating.
Yeah.
You have this. I'm sure you get amazing support from the community. I mean, you do it. You get an amazing app.
I still enjoy it. It's one of the funnest things that I get to work on. I love it. I love working with all the community members and implementing new ideas. I hate it when there's really hard bugs to figure out. Like when 5.0 came out, there was a bunch of users in the UK that were having just a bunch of FTFs show up on the screen for no reason.
Oh no!
Almost every single cache showed FTF, and then their logs also were appearing with no time on them or date. So it was a really strange bug, and it came down finally after like a day of talking to different users and figuring out it had to do with people in the UK with their time zone using, instead of a 24-hour format of time like on your iPhone, it was the 12-hour format. It's just a toggle in iOS settings. It wasn't anything necessarily in Cachly. And then Apple would do really weird things with the dates. So just because of a date kind of bug, it was causing all these problems.
Right.
So once we figured that out, told people how to fix it on their end for now, and then I was able to fix it in code, and it will be out in the next version.
Oh yeah, I saw that in the user group today. Or it was yesterday or the other day. Yeah, I saw you posted that how to fix it. Yes.
Yeah, it was an announcement. Yeah.
Date formatting never causes any problems. Are you kidding me?
Oh my word! Date formatting is so maddening.
So you are still enjoying it, which I'm sure makes us all happy to know that you're still having fun.
Yes. Yep, I love it.
Good. You still you can't afford to do it. You can't leave your job and do it full time though, unfortunately.
That would be pretty hard. I still love my day job. I love all the people that I work with, and it's still a great opportunity for my family. So I will happily do that as long as I can. So it works well to do both and do this as a side business. So it's not something that I could just go full time. I think it'd be hard to do that. There's still millions and millions of cachers that are not using Cachly. So.
No, I can't imagine. Yeah, they're Android users. You can't help that.
That's true.
Off the record, and I'm not asking you to name names here. Has any lackey come up to you and said, "I use Cachly instead of the app"?
Yes, they have. They are fine being open about using Cachly because I'm a supported partner. Okay. So I guess they're happy to use a partner app. So yeah, I'm happy if any lackey wants to use Cachly.
Right. I mean, the geocaching app has gotten a lot better. It is strived above where it was. It's still not better than Cachly. Cachly's way better. No. But it is getting so much better. I give geocaching mad props for everything they've done with that app. But still not. It's still Cachly. I mean, and especially what you've done from 4 to 5 is a huge leap. Especially maps alone is a huge leap.
Yeah.
A phenomenal leap for you. And I know
it was a lot of work.
It took you a long time. Yeah, I remember you were talking about you've been working for a long time. Yes.
Yeah. Way too long.
Well, I'm sorry. It's done now. Be happy.
Now there's bug fixes and new features, and
this is kind of nice. And this was on the geocaching app, the add cache to watch or ignore list. I saw Jessie like that one. I remember she mentioned that one when she saw.
So that was always a question. How you can do this in 4.0, and it just wasn't possible. But ever since HQ came out with the new API, they've added a lot of new features that weren't previously possible. So that's one of them. So it's pretty nice to be able to add those kind of things that before I just told people, sorry, I can't provide that for you.
And what is in 5.0? All these features. I mean, how many? God, there's got to be 40 new features or something like that. How many? Nick?
Probably way more. There's probably 100 new things, but some of them are, just small little tweaks and fixes and stuff like that. And so much of the code was a rewrite. Every single map screen that you see was a complete rewrite to incorporate Google Maps and the new offline maps. So there's 3 mapping frameworks that we work with. So every time you're switching between maps, I'm redrawing pins for a different map framework. We're redoing everything for a different system. So that's a lot of the reason why it took so long, was because there's a lot of code in there to handle all those different maps.
And what is your personal favorite in terms of all the different features that's in there? What did you have the most
Probably
fun
the probably offline maps, because I invested so much time and effort into that and into the styling. Like I really worked really hard and wrote all the styling for, zoom levels and, trails and roads. And so that's like my baby. That's like my most worked on piece of 5.0 is the new maps. Yeah.
Logs. You can edit log, date, and time.
Yes, that wasn't previously possible. So if you made a mistake,
were we not allowed to do that before? We couldn't do that before in Cache 4.
You could edit log text and you could edit the log type, but you couldn't edit the log date and time.
Okay,
yeah.
I could have sworn I was able to go in there and fix something before, but the date. And
you could have fixed things, and you could have deleted it too. But yeah, now date and time. Yep.
Oh, look at you! That's got to be an API thing, right? I mean, because that's usually you can only do that on on the website right now. Can the app even do that? I'm gonna have to Geocaching app even do that.
I don't know. I think some of those kind of things they definitely have the capability to, but they kind of pick and choose what kind of features they want because they have maybe a different audience than Cachly has. I think a lot of my users want to do maybe a few more advanced things, and they're kind of trying to go for a broad audience, so maybe they're not adding some of those features in.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything you wanted to get into 5.0 that didn't get in?
Yeah, proximity alert when you're getting close to a cache. I wanted to add that in, but it was just going to be more testing, more code, and it was going to push it back even further. So I just said I'll hold that off till later. So there was a lot of people that really wanted that, but I didn't want to take the time, and it could have delayed it until the end of this next month or something.
Yeah.
So
I can tell you someone that would turn it off immediately.
Pop-up, the 16. Don't use a pop-up modal saying you're okay. Put your phone away.
So you were Scott.
Well, some of those features are cool, but I would turn them off by default, and then people could turn them on if they wanted to.
Right.
So.
I know that was one thing that Scott was complaining about on the one of the new geocaching apps that just kept on bam.
What happened is that when you're doing parking grabs and like you're driving, trying to get to know which pole it is that you're driving up to, and all of a sudden, boom, this modal pops up over on top of the map,
right?
Saying okay. You're like, no, dude.
Yeah, I think you can turn that off now, though.
Now you can turn it off, yes, but it was really annoying back when it first came out. Because I was just trying it out. Trust me, I use Cachly, I promise. But I was trying it out because I wanted to see let's see how it is, But quickly went back to the Cachly. Quickly went back. Somebody in the chat room says, "I wish I could edit the trackable visit if I forgot to log it the first time."
Edit the visit log?
I wish I could edit the trackable visit if I forgot to log it the first time. Edit the track. Oh, maybe. So maybe go. But can you go back? Maybe so. So you visited a cache, but you want to.
So you edit the log and then do a trackable visit.
Can you do that?
No, you can't retroactively.
No, that's what.
But if you've already logged that trackable, you can. Should be able to edit the log, but I think that's something that I haven't implemented it yet. Is trackable log edits. Because that's a whole nother thing to have to deal with. So currently that is not possible.
Here's an interesting one from the chat room. This is actually not a bad idea. A good proximity alert would be on the watch, but the watch alerts is a bit tough when it's not active.
Yes.
But that'd be kind of cool because a lot of times when I'm in the woods and Jesse and I are in the woods and we're hiking, I look and I say, oh, I'm pointing 2 away, and I put my phone away, knowing I have 1,000
Yeah.
feet to walk. So what'd be
Mhm.
kind of nice if I can get an alert on just a buzz on my watch, that boom, knowing I'm 30 feet away.
Yeah, that was going to be a component of it. That was going to be, and the watch is awesome, but it's super hard to test. So that was part of just I was anticipating a lot of work in testing and having to go out there and physically go test this feature. So stay tuned for that. Yeah.
And maybe something like a light buzz at 100 feet and a heavy buzz at 30 feet, something like that, because there's been times, it's 75 feet off a trail and you walk right past it because, when you looked at your phone, it was 0.28 miles away and, well, you went more than 1,000 feet.
Oh, yeah, I've done that.
All right, getting back to the list here. Earth Cache and Virtuals tapping. Earth Cache and Virtuals tapping give option to send answers. Can't be right.
I think it should have said when you tap the log button. So when you tap to log it,
right,
kind of like the official app, it'll give the option, do you want to send answers right now, or do you want to log the cache?
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. Yes.
Yeah.
I used to, Nick, full disclosure, I used to leave Cachly and go to the geocaching app when I would do an Earth Cache. And now I don't have to do that anymore. Because
and now there's a little bit of integration with the message center in Cachly. I was able to do that. So it'll flip you over to Safari, but it will take you right to that user and start a new message in the message center for you.
Jesse mentioned something to me about the message center. Talk to me about the message center, because Jesse's like, hey, you can get a message center. I'm like, I thought geocaching wasn't going to allow you guys to do that kind of thing.
Yeah. So with approval from Brian, there's a small amount of integration allowed. So it has to be in the Safari browser. So there's still security where, me as a developer couldn't read messages and stuff like that. It still flips you back out, but it's pretty fast transition, and it'll take you right into a message with that user. So it's still, I think, the best of both worlds. I don't think there's a reason for me to have to implement it natively in Cachly, because that would be a huge amount of work for me. So I think it's really nice to have those little hooks where you can just flip over and be already, writing to that user and then pop back to Cachly.
Now the API doesn't have any information with regards to the questions there, so it doesn't extract out the questions for you when it pulls up message in Safari. Correct?
No, correct.
So that would be something that I think Groundspeak or geocaching.com would be interesting if they add that to the API in the future.
Nick, one of the things about the message center on the geocaching.com app is that I get when I have an alert, I get I get the red circle with a 1 or something like that. I'm not going to get that with Cachly though, am I?
Not currently, and you probably would never get a push notification, if you're out of Cachly and it just pops up on your lock screen. But one thing I asked them if it would be possible is if, so there's an API call for you to get user information about your own user. And I asked them if it was possible to have some of that data be if you have a message in the message center. So in the background, Cachly could be checking your user data, and if it sees that there's a message available, then it could put a little red dot there. So that was an idea that I proposed to them. So it's up to them if they're interested in adding that. So
what's nice is I do get a push from the geocaching.com app, so now I can actually stay in Cachly and just I will get that push, and I can go in Cachly and go into my message center, and it'll take me. And I'm assuming I'm going to have to log into geocaching.com from Safari is my assumption.
Have you do that one time, and then it will save a cookie and keep your session open.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not every time.
And view my unpublished caches.
Yeah, that's something from the new API. So if you're searching an area and you've hit a cache and it's unpublished, you will actually see your owned cache there. So somebody the other day was talking about where they had placed a bunch of caches to make some geo art, and they thought how cool that was because they can actually now see the geo art before they actually publish it. So it's only for the owners of the caches. But yeah, it's something that's kind of exposed now through the new API.
That's really great because I know that was a big issue with people setting up these big, huge GeoArts, not being able to actually visually see what they look like. I know somebody had something go live and things were off, so like one of the lines didn't line up, and he had to go in and fix it really quick. So that's great.
Yeah, and I'm sure there was a reason behind that they did that for something, along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else I'm missing here, Nick? That's not on this list that you wanted to discuss.
I think we covered a lot of the good ones. I previously touched on the seeing caches as you're navigating to them. So that was one of the ones we didn't talk about in depth. But yeah, that's basically kind of the whole list of some of the big ones. There was a lot of little ones that we didn't talk about, but I think they're not as important. People will find them in the future, find all those little tidbits of
and that's my favorite thing about
features.
that is the little tidbits, the little things that you find, that's the best part. But my favorite is the reset. There it is, Nick, the reset one. I sent this to Nick. If you go, if anybody uses Cachly, if you go to the filter and then you do your filtering, and then I think personally, Nick, I'm not judging you at all, because the reset should be on the other side and the done should be on the left and the reset should be on the right. And so meanwhile, he's got reset on the left, top left, and done on the top right. And so I always hit reset, and he did not have a warning pop up, or a modal as we call it. And so it would automatically reset everything. And so I said, "Hey Nick, can you put a reset modal on there?" I don't remember if he sent you an email. I did it from the show. I can't remember, but
yeah.
And he's like, "Let me write that down." And it's in here, guys. It's in here. I love it. Never again will I have to reset my filters anymore.
That's true. And another nice thing that I like is where you can set all those filter options and then you can just disable them and they're still saved. And I used to hate that, where previously they wouldn't be saved. You'd have to just close them all out.
Right. Do it. Right.
If you wanted to see all caches again, you couldn't save those. So now you can actually just save all the settings and just disable filtering.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Nick. You're my hero. What is this? Somebody is saying, David Levine is saying Street View. Is there a Street View in this one? Have I not messed around with the maps?
There is Google Street View. If you're navigating to a cache and you have Google Maps installed, there will be a little Street View icon.
Come on.
And you can tap on that and it will show you Street View around your cache.
That's awesome.
Thanks, David.
Now you're gonna make me go cache, because I gotta play. I'm way too busy to be caching. I got boxes, hundreds of boxes in my house. Yes. Well done, Nick. Well done, sir. I'm very happy with it from what I have seen. Well, someone says parking. What is parking? Tell me parking.
Parking.
Someone's screaming parking in the chat room. Did you?
I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, Nick don't know what you're talking about. Oh, parking.
More details. Context, please.
They just yelled parking.
I would guess, marking where you parked.
Oh, marking where you park. And Nick, marking where you park.
You could save the location, or you could just use Google Maps and use their Find My Parking Spot feature.
Right.
That's what I do
probably
now.
Built by like 50 Google engineers or something like that.
Yes. And so this is 5.0. Are you already thinking about 6.0, or are you taking a break and just like doing a little, just tweaking a little bit and putting out little fires and stuff like that? Or you were like already like, all right, what am I going to do? Are you, what kind of a person are you? Are you the kind that sits and rests, or are you like, all right, next big thing? What's next?
I already have a massive list of stuff for many, many versions. And I've already released one beta fix or one fix, and I have another one coming soon with some features in it. So I try not to stop for a while, because there's always things to fix. But I'm thinking of more like 5.1 type features, not necessarily like 6.0 type features right now. So got to do some more smaller feature releases before I do something big again. And I don't think I ever want to do one as big as I did this time, because it's just such a long span between the last version and the new version.
You sure did, yeah. I mean, you actually you expired my beta thing expired, because it was like those run out after 90 days or something like that. 90 days.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one was necessary because of all the rebuilding of maps, but in the future, I think some smaller release cycles are a lot better for users for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we got an update on the parking. So basically, it's about using Street View to see where you can dump the car before you arrive.
Yes, there you go.
Funny. Somebody in the chat room wants to know, Nick, what is your personal favorite of all of the new features in 5.0?
We already said that, Jess.
Oh, we did?
Yep.
Yes, it's
I
the
think
new offline map.
Sorry.
You're too busy playing with your phone.
That's right.
That's really actually the truth.
Jess, you have any questions for Nick? Why you got him here?
I do. I just thought of this, and I don't know why, because it's just one of those silly things I'm just curious about. If when somebody views a cache using Cachely, does it show on the audit log for the owner? Because I know that there are some apps that will not show that user has viewed it.
I don't think that API apps, all the partner apps do. I don't think so, but that's not anything that I've ever tested, but I almost remember somebody talking about that and saying that it didn't.
Okay, just curious.
So, yeah.
Hmm.
I'll have to check on that one.
So we got a question about what about a hot list? And I'm guessing hot list is caches that have recently been on fire. You know, you're recently getting a lot of hits. That would be my guess. Maybe Bounce can get back to us as to what he means by hot list.
Yeah, so maybe like found a ton of times in the last week, you're saying?
Right.
Oh.
Most favorite.
Yeah. Well, I guess that kind of thing, you know, you could look at the logs and compare how long between the dates of the logs or something like that, and then somehow emphasize those caches that are really hot right now.
A little fire or something like that. A little, watch or something.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that.
That'd be interesting. That's not a bad one. That's not a bad one.
So not that kind of on fire, Rich Rag. He's saying California has a lot of burnt caches.
I know, Rich. Burnt caches, yeah, from the fires.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really sad. Well, I think a lot of cache owners probably lost their caches in a lot of those fires.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Well, Nick, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. We appreciate it very, very much. Love your app. I've always loved your app. It's anybody who doesn't have his app, you are a iPhone user, you are ridiculously crazy to not spend the $4.99. $4.99, right? Is that what it is? Correct?
Yep.
$5. Come on. That's an amazing app.
I've converted a number of geocaching app users that have iOSs to Cachely users at events and stuff. It's like, come on, try it out. Check this thing out. This thing is awesome.
Oh, it absolutely is. I bought it because I didn't want to pay the money, but then I finally sucked it up, and it's an amazing app. It really is.
And they've all come back to me and said, "Man, I should have done this a long time ago."
I know.
That's what I want to hear.
It is. It's a phenomenal app, dude. It really, really is.
Thank
well
you.
done, sir.
Appreciate it. And I just want to say, it's not just my ideas. I'm the one taking people's ideas, beta tester ideas, community member ideas. There's lots of people helping with this. It's not just me. I'm the one programming it, doing a lot of things, but there's definitely more people out there, especially, like I said, beta users and people in the Facebook groups, people on social media, emails, stuff like that have definitely helped shape where Cachely is now with features and ideas and stuff. So I appreciate all the help that people give.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Also, kudos to you. You are like in everything. Not only are you, you are sponsors for podcasts, but you're also sponsors for megas and stuff like that. So you are putting money back into the system, which is kudos to you for that as well. You don't have to do that, and you're doing it. So thank you for that as well. And that being said, Nick, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for being a sponsor of the show, and thank you for the wonderful app that you have.
Thank you,
guys. Next week's show is geocaching hazards. the poisonous stuff and the dangerous stuff. We're gonna be talking about those kind of things next week. We're gonna bring it down a little bit after the crazy 3 weeks that we've had over here. Nick, thank you so much. Chad, thank you so much. Jesse, thank you so much. Chat room, you guys are always awesome. Next week, let's get the phones rolling again. We can actually have some discussion here. Now that we're actually listening to people give us information. So we will talk to everybody next week. Let me close the show here. Please join us again next week as we take your calls live every Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, right here at the geocachingpodcast.com/live. The archive video versions of our podcast are available on our website or on our YouTube channel, and the audio versions are available on most of your favorite podcatchers. If you like the show, please head on over to Apple iTunes and rate, review, and subscribe. We really appreciate it. It really helps the show when you do. If you prefer to watch the show, please subscribe to the show on YouTube, and don't forget to click the bell to get notified whenever we go live. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter for updates on upcoming shows and general geocaching information. And hey, if you haven't already, please consider becoming a patron of the show. With tiers starting as low as $3, you get a ton of additional information, extra videos, extra audio, only available to our patron members. Please head on over to patreon.com today and subscribe. That's patreon.com/the Geocaching Podcast. It really helps the show when you do. We really, really appreciate it. Once again, thank you to our sponsors, Cachly, Logwork, and FTF Geocacher Magazine. Hey, guys, visit these guys, sign up, buy their stuff, tell them GCPC sent you. That's all we got this week, so we'll see you next week, talking geocaching, taking your phone calls. In the meantime, be good, be safe, and hug your loved ones. Talk to you next week. We are clear.
So Bounce said that the home looks a little looks different. The house looks different.
Background looks a little different. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
it looks
we-
different next week again when we get all those boxes unpacked.
You'll be able to actually watch it. Oh, look. Is that Aaron? Oh, look, a nice sweater, Aaron. Look at Aaron. Repping the pod right there. Or, all right.
Very nice.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, everybody in the chat room. We will talk to you guys next week about dangerous. What are we talking about? Geocaching hazards, poisonous stuff, dangerous stuff. You guys, this is a dangerous game we play here. So we're going to talk about it next week. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week.